Thank you so much for joining us today at the Children's Advocacy Center. We have a really special guest for our podcast today. This is Kadeen Smith. Kadeen, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kadeen Smith.
What's your role here with the Children's Advocacy Center?
My role is the case coordinator, the multidisciplinary case coordinator here at the CAC.
What does that mean? What does that involve? Can you give us a synopsis of kind of what that covers?
So my role involves getting all the MDT together, which is CPT, law enforcement, and DCF at one table to go over the investigation as far as what's the next step forward to make sure all the child needs is taken care of.
Okay, so MDT is multidisciplinary team. So what you're saying is if a child has experienced trauma and comes to the Advocacy Center, you gather all the professionals around that are have an interest in this case, and everybody talks, have a conversation about where to go next, what's been done, what can be done next, and who we can plug in later?
Yes.
That's amazing. Do you find that there's services here for the families? Once we get everybody at the table, we can assist?
Yes, I feel like once everyone's at the table, then everyone can say what their concerns are to make sure all those concerns are met before the child leaves the Advocacy Center.
That's awesome. Is it like a brainstorming session? I envision it like this, I can do this, can you do this? It seems like they need this. Do we have somebody to fill that role? Is that kind of what this looks like?
It can be a brainstorming because everyone comes with their own knowledge and everyone comes with their own resources. So yes, it can be a brainstorming as far as where to locate the resources and who, if there's no insurance, who can cover what and so forth.
Just being connected to the resources in the community, basically, yes. And seeing what the needs are. What would you say is the main need for the families right now? Is there one in particular, or is it all over the place?
There's not one in particular. It's all over the place. We're getting better with therapy because there's more therapists that are coming on board. So it's not one particular service that's needed.
Do you find there's gaps, there's a need that this community isn't able to fill? Is housing an issue, or pretty much people
housing is an issue, but it's something that we at the Advocacy Center can't provide the funds for in a sense. We can write letters, but other than that.
Yeah, it's just one of those social problems in society that everybody's facing. But generally, it must seem like they already have that living situation in place. They're not coming here for that. They're addressing a trauma. And then involving that trauma, you step in and see what else they need.
Yes.
What else can be done while they're here, while we have them in-house. That is amazing. I think that's an incredibly good concept. Instead of treating for one thing, sending them out, and they're on their own searching for what to do next. You're kind of in control of what that looks like and getting everybody together to see what could be needed and what could be done.
Yes.
That's amazing. Now, before this, you worked at DCF, right?
Correct.
I worked with you through a domestic violence agency.
Yes.
Some things changed back a couple years ago to where now if there's a domestic violence call, a domestic violence agent is required to talk with a child protective investigator before they can clear the case. So I think you were one of mine, right, for St. Lucie County, or were you with my partner, Karina's?
We have had a few, and then I've had a few with Karina as well.
Yeah. Do you think that's been an effective program? Do you think it's helpful for the families to connect with a domestic violence advocate when they experience problems with a DCF situation?
Yes, I feel it's a great resource for the family, but sometimes the family has to, how would I say,
want the help, maybe?
Yes,
is that where you're going?
They have to want the help to get the proper help that they need.
Sure. Do you find a lot of resistance sometimes because maybe they haven't come to terms with really what's happening?
Yes.
Yes. I find that too. And I think, though, just a lot of what we do is planting the seed. Maybe you'll find that too. Do you find that in the meetings, the family may not know right away or say right away, but later they'll say, you mentioned, or I thought about this when I left. Are you able to go back in and help after that if they come to you with a need later?
Yes, and I feel sometimes because DCF is still involved where
Sure.
they feel like they don't want to participate in the services, but once you and Karina reach out to the parents, it might be a different view of safe space.
Yeah, and just getting that seed planted. Working with DCF, I think that is so interesting. Rarely do people get a chance to maybe ask a question because they're so fearful of the stigma. And what I try to mention, just being working with CC kids, there's not a lot of foster homes available. Do you think that feeds into the fact that children aren't being removed just because there's nowhere to put them, that you work closely with the family, the non-offending family member? Is that more of the role of DCF at this point?
I don't think so. I think it has, because within DCF they check for non-relatives, they check for anyone that can take the child. If there is no one that can take the child, that's when they resort to foster care.
Foster care. How often does that happen? Did that happen for you?
It doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Because there's always a family member or a friend that's willing to take them.
Sure. And Kadeen, I've talked to community members, community professionals who have said these words: I don't want to call DCF because I don't want her to lose her kids. And I think that's a mistaken thought process. I know, dealing with the system myself, that the fear is that they're going to come, the word is snatch your kids. They're going to take your kids. They're going to snatch your kids. But that's so rare, because I feel like what I've noticed working with the system is they work to keep the non-offending parent whole, yes, so that the kids don't have to be removed. I do think it's from lack of foster care, not for any other reason, but I think that's been amazingly helpful to keep kids with a parent, instead of removing. If we had enough foster homes, we still wouldn't want the kids to be removed. We would still work to keep them with whatever parent or whatever caregivers left. Is that the goal now, you think, at DCF?
That is the goal. That's always been the goal, because the removal rate is 3%. Everyone think it's higher than that, but it's actually 3% out of 100% is 3%.
That's amazing to have that statistic. And I think that's interesting for our community to know that. I think back in the day, I don't know where the stigma come from, living through it myself, is that they're horrible people who are just going to come in and take your kids. How egregious does it have to be for that to even be an issue? Is it more or less that there's just no other family member that can take them, or is the condition so bad that would have to happen?
It can be both. It can be like the situation is horrific where they don't have anywhere to go, and it's come time, it depends on the parents, because if the parents is willing to work with services, it makes it a little bit easier.
I understand. I see. So if DCF comes in and says maybe it's a living situation, as far as maybe food, debris, a filth situation where there's not really healthy to live there, do I understand that there's agencies that would come help families take care of that problem?
DCF can put in a safety plan where they have 14 days to regulate what's going on. After the 14 days, then DCF comes back and see if the safety plan is needed. So they have up to 14 days to get everything together. If it's an environmental hazard, you have other agencies that can come in and help the family clean up. But it depends on how cooperative the family is.
I see. So I know the stigma, but it would actually be easier for families if DC is involved. And I think the shift in thinking would be helpful for the families, that, okay, they've addressed this, they're going to help us get this squared away and then move on out of our lives. But the resistance really is the anger at DCF being maybe involved, and the resistance is really what keeps them involved, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they just have a program that if you move through this, we're out of your life. But sometimes the anger, and maybe generational, maybe they've dealt with the previous versions of DCF that weren't the kind, gentle Kadeen person that we have here. And I think burnout and everything too in that job. I could see firsthand what that looked like for you guys being in-house. And I just want to give everybody else a sense that what I found with DCF is they are genuine people who genuinely want to make a difference. And they don't want to have to interfere with your family. They want to come in and help and do everything they can to get out of your life, because they're busy. They have other things to move on to. So I wanted to feature that shift of someone like yourself who's done that work, caring for the families, that you're not the bad guy.
No.
And you're not there to cause any harm whatsoever. And all you want is that family to see what resources are out there that they can use to do better. And that's really the only role.
Yes.
Yeah, and then protecting those kids. Now I have a question about what it might look like, because I have met another person who had a child while she worked through DCF. Was there a significant difference in your thinking before and after becoming a parent?
becoming a parent, oh gosh, the world is horrible.
Yeah, scary, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Before, we're just going about our day and we go get, this. Now it's like, oh my gosh, my child is going to have to...
Before I had myself to think about. Now I have a little one to think about.
Yeah.
So.
And when it comes to DCF, do you see... I wonder what it would look like if you saw a parent or a mom with a child your child's age and realize what that would look like now that you are in that mom club. Before, we really don't know what we don't know, and it's a life-changing event, so you see things through a different lens.
Yes, my first case I had, a lady told me that you'll never understand because you're not the mother. I'm like, but I have nieces, I have a godson, so I understand. She's like, no, you'll never understand until you have your own child, and until this day, I understand what she meant. Yeah,
it really is reality hits. And we tell new moms, oh, it's going to be exciting. They really can't grasp what's about to happen. So do you see families differently now? Maybe, I don't know that I would have enough patience because I think, people without kids think they know really what to do best for the children. It's always funny. But do you now have a little bit more grace and patience? You think that you wouldn't have noticed before, now that you know what it's really like to get up with the child, to be up with a sick child and have life going on around it, that something might get overlooked, that you realize that and you can see the genuineness in the mom who's trying but has other struggles?
Yes, absolutely, especially when it comes to physical injury.
Sure. Do you think, I know that people I've worked with DCF that have kids horrified of a fall, horrified that their child's going to have a mark on them because of the world you live in. So is that basically what you see now? A fall really could be a fall.
Yes.
And really could be something that the child, during play, that maybe you wouldn't have noticed before you could see what it looks like for a toddler, to make their way around.
Yes, but then it goes back to them families thinking DCF is such horrible people because sometimes, yes, the child can have a fall and then they don't tell us what happened when it can be easily, he was jumping on the couch and fell off. But by you not having an explanation, that's when DCF becomes aggressive, like, hey, can you tell me what's going on?
Sure.
But it's nerve-wracking.
I bet. I can imagine being on either side of that. And you have to make that decision and have to, make it all happen. And I think the message would be that DCF isn't out. There's really nowhere to put the kids for removal. And that if there's an incident, we just have eyes on it as DCF. And here's what you can do. You can go here, here, and here and move on. And if people would accept it that way, it would be easier through the system, right, than the anger and aggression when it comes to DCF. Yeah, to just move through, do what's asked, and then you can go on about your day. I found that DCF also has a number that parents can call for help themselves. I was surprised at that. I don't feel like it gets a lot of calls. Nobody wants to call DCF on themselves. Right. But it's basically just the parent line. Can you tell me what that looks like? Or?
I believe you're speaking about the parent in need of assistance. Yeah. So the parent would say like what they're in need of, and then it'll get assigned to a DCF worker, and then the DCF worker will put in the services that the family may need. So it could be daycare, it could be even getting access to food stamps. So
Kadeen, actually one of the questions that you get is, how long is this going to take? How long do I have to be involved in this system? How long is DCF going to be in my life? Can you tell us what that looks like from first contact to you never see these people again? What would that look like?
So DCF investigator has 60 days to close out their investigation. It depends on the severity of the case why it would extend those 60 days. After 60 days, if it's a family that there's verified findings, then it might go to case management. That's when case management steps in and DCF steps back.
Case management is where it's signed to local agencies, and generally that's a year where parenting programs are put in place. Is that correct? Do I understand that?
It can be up to a year. It depends on the drive of the parent.
So do I understand that once DCF has released the case after 60 days, it could go to a case manager that would ask for additional resources for the family, and when they complete those resources, then the case would end?
Correct.
That's I think that's the question a lot of people have is, are you going to be in my life for years? Are you going to be in here for days? But it is up to the parent, correct, on how quickly they fulfill these requirements and how quickly they move through the asks of the department.
Yes, if it's a case that needs case management services.
How often does that happen? Do you find that most people just move through the 60 days and go on about their day, or do most go to case management?
It all depends on the severity of the case, but most cases doesn't make it to case management. The issues are able to fix within those 60 days.
That's amazing that you can get in and just move on. Do you find that the parents and the families see it that way as an assistance, or they're not as positive findings for DCF?
Some families, they see DCF as a blessing, as a helpful resources. Other families, if it's a family that's been through the system before, they might see it as, okay, just get out of my life right now.
Sure.
So some people see having the department as a resource,
as a positive fix for their family.
Yes.
And I think with anything, once we move on, these agencies and different agencies, that we don't know the end result. In our minds, everybody goes on and has a great life. I hope we never see them again for the good reasons that they've done well. I don't think we know the real number of people who go on and do well that they just don't come back and say. But the work you do definitely has impact on people and has impact on the kids. Me being one of them as a child, and the DCF workers, and it was very different back then. But to have someone like yourself, who's a mom, who's a kind, gentle person in this role, I think is amazing, because it helps the department get a better image with the people that are the face of the department, like yourself out there. So I really just want to thank you for everything you've done for kids, families, for the department here in the 19th Circuit, and what you continue to do for us and the families. I think it's amazing. I think you're amazing. So I want to thank you for that. So, Kadeen, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do outside of work?
Outside of work, as a mom, is just my son.
Yeah.
Finding new places to take him before it's nap time.
Right, to get ready for nap time.
Yes.
Getting tired enough for nap time, right? Does he enjoy your love of orchids like you?
Oh, yes. He loves to come to work with me.
Yes.
See new faces and run around. So, yeah.
He does come here a lot. He's very familiar with us, and he's so adorable. Does he into gardening like you are with your orchids? And does he go outside with you to check on them? Has he had an interest in that?
He's more of trying to rip up my orchids right now. So I have to hide my orchids from him.
Fun. Parenting fun at its finest.
He tries to eat it. So, yeah.
Isn't that lovely? Yes. So they say keep them away from pests, but maybe the kids too, right? Because they're just too pretty to eat.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up. I know you're super busy, have a lot of work to do for our people here in the community. So what I'd like to do is invite everybody to come by and see us here. Kadeen may even be here. You'll be lucky enough to run across and get to see her in person. We have a few things coming up that I'm really excited about. I need a lot of people to come to my Darkness to Light training on the 29th. It's all over Facebook. If you are a member of our Facebook page or just want to pull up the website, there's QR codes that are going to be provided on this podcast as well for you to join. There's a fee for this one, but it's worth it because you're going to have the workbook that you can take with you and share with the community. We also have the summit every year. I think it's the 12th year for the summit. So we all know what the summit is. Right now we're accepting sponsorships. So if you're doing this work in the community, you really do want to be featured there. It'll almost be odd to be left out. This is the premier information gathering session of our area. Everybody knows what it is, and to be featured there would really do well for your agency, and we would love to have you be a sponsor this year. For your professional development, the summit offers CEUs. It's all free. Lunch is provided. It's 2 days. So if you can set aside those 2 days, go ahead and set those on your calendar to get that squared away for the year. We're all busy. We have to do these additional trainings throughout the year to keep ourselves current. I've always used that summit as an opportunity to take those 2 days and complete that for the whole rest of the year. So while you're around your fellow coworkers, your fellow partners in the community, having a nice lunch and hearing real good current information, you're also fulfilling your training requirements. So we would love to see you there. Registration is not open now, but we are looking for sponsorships so that we can bring in the best of information to you from our area. The easiest way to support us is the Circle of Care. I do it because I spend more than this on coffee. So if you'll please join this, and we know the Starbucks cups are filling up our trash cans daily. So I think I can actually funnel some of this to an agency that's in need. So you can as well. And we really stay in touch with our people who do this. We send out different things to you, different information. So stay in the loop with us doing that, the Circle of Care. And of course, the tours. We want you here in person. We want you to see firsthand, Kadeen. We want you to see firsthand what it looks like here. Our healing garden is coming along. You need to come by and see where we're at. It's all volunteer and donation based. So just to see the before and after as that goes up is really exciting. So please come see us. Give me a call, email, reach out through Facebook so we can have you come in and give you more information. And if there's anybody you would like to hear from in the community, any information that you think would be helpful, reach out and let me know so that we can get them in and get those questions answered for you. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Kadeen, for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.